All right, I'm here for a smaller part two. And I believe in part two, you get to something really interesting, right? I mean, I believe you probably get to the nitty gritty. But let's find out together. Whatever causes the Cherokee people may have had in the past to complain of some of the southern states, right? Cherokee Nation versus Georgia, for example. Worcester versus Georgia, for example, right? Georgia expelling, right? They got plenty of reasons. But anyway, let's get back to the reading. They cannot but feel their interests and destiny were inseparably connected with those of the South. The war now raging is a war of northern cupidity and fanaticism. You may have heard of the war of northern aggression. That's basically what they're saying here. Let's read that sentence again. The war now raging is a war of northern cupidity and fanaticism against the institution of African servitude, against the commercial freedom of the South. So, in other words, they are saying that the attack of slavery cripples the Southern economy. Okay. The commercial freedom of the South and against the political freedom of the states. And its objects are to annihilate the sovereignty of those states and utterly change the nature of the general government. The Cherokee people and their neighbors were warned before the war commenced that the first object of the party which now holds power and powers of government, obviously the Republican Party, this is me speaking out now on the Republican Party, which now holds the power of power of government of the United States, would be to annul the institution of slavery in the whole Indian country. Repeat. Would be to annul the institution of slavery in the whole Indian country and make it what they term free territory, and after a time, a free state. And they have been also warned by the fate which has befallen those of their race in Kansas, Nebraska, and Oregon, that at no distant day, they too would be compelled to surrender their country at the demand of northern rapacity. So that is to say that these places are up for statehood. It's basically what it's saying, and I believe actually by this time Oregon does have statehood. Kansas, Nebraska, not yet. Okay. And be content with an extinct nationality and with the reserves of limited extent for individuals, of which their people would soon be despoiled by speculators. These are people who are what? Willing to buy land, right? And so they're interested, if you will, in Cherokee land. If not plundered unscrupulously by the state. In my opinion, they should read, if not plundered unscrupulously by the state itself. So in other words, the state, may, if you will, start taking land from the Native Americans, from the Cherokees. Urged by these considerations, the Cherokee, long divided in opinion, became unanimous, and like their brethren, the Creeks, Seminoles, Choctaw, and Chickasaws. Now, if you've ever had a class with me, and my guess is, well, I don't know, maybe not, or any, I guess, competent survey serve a U.S. history instructor. You know these to be, if you will, the so-called 5 civilized tribes. Western clothing, language. The Cherokee, for example, put their language in a written form. Town hall government, so on and so forth. And oftentimes, at least with 4 to 5 of these, and to some extent all 5, slavery. All right. I better read this again. Urged by these considerations, the Cherokees, long divided in opinion, became unanimous, and like their brethren, the Creek, Seminole, Choctaws, and Chickasaw, determined by the undivided voice of a general convention of all the people held at Tahlequah. Now, Tahlequah is that is today the capital of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, and at this time, this would be the this would also be the capital of the Cherokee. They had made some changes and revisions over time. Tahlequah was, if you will, became the capital of the Cherokee Nation in 1839. And then that relationship ceased in 1907. But, later on, you had the formation of the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, upon which Tahlequah is now capital of. Also, schools. Northeastern State University, Northeastern Oklahoma State University, is part of Tahlequah, is in Tahlequah. All right. Held at Tahlequah on the 21st day of August in the present year, and that would be 1861, that's the year. To make common cause with the South and share its fortunes. In now carrying this resolution into effect and consummating a treaty of alliance and friendship with the Confederate States of America, the Cherokee people declares that it has been faithful and loyal in its engagements with the United States until, by placing its safety and even national existence in imminent peril, those states have released themselves from those engagements. Menaced by a great danger, they exercise the inalienable right of self-defense and declare themselves a free people, independent of the northern states of America, and at war with them by their own act, obeying the dictates of prudence and providing for the general safety and welfare, confident of the rectitude of their intentions and true to the obligations of duty and honor, they accept the issue thus forced upon them, unite their fortunes now and forever with those of the Confederate States, and take up arms for the common cause. And with entire confidence in the justice of that cause, and with a firm reliance upon divine providence, will resolutely abide the consequences. Tahlequah, CN, standing for obviously Cherokee Nation, October 1861. So let's stop there. So in other words, we're at least a good depending upon how you look at this. If you start this with Fort Sumter, then you're 6 months into the war. If you start this, if you will, with Bull Run, or also known First Bull Run or First Manassas, then you're about 3 months, over 3 months into it. So, so they started pretty late, right? Anyway, signatories: Thomas Pegg, President, National Committee, Joshua Ross. Clerk, National Committee, concurred, Lacey Mouse. Speaker of Council, Thomas B. Wolf, spelled with an E, Clerk Council, and approved, J.N.O. Ross. I'm not sure, that might be Junior Ross, but I'm not 100% sure. All right. So, what do we have here? Well, one thing, what can you gather from this? And, I'm interested, to see what you may even have in the comments if anybody's reading this. But what can you gather from this? Well, one thing you can gather is they're like, well, we're darned if we do, we're darned if we don't, right? And secondly, when we look at our borders and boundaries, it is consistent with these southern states. Also, you get a hint of, of while, of course, they know of some of the issues, the treaties that obviously Southerners have been less than, honest with. And, I'm obviously reading into that.